Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I always appreciate it when you click on my videos. I have recently posted on my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, the fact that my channel has reached 2,500 subscribers. I want to thank you guys so much. Words cannot express how much joy this channel has brought to me, and the fact that, you know, I've had the courage now to post it back on my personal Facebook page. I'm almost at 2 years, and so, you know, if I can sit here and make these videos for strangers across YouTube, why can't I post it to my family and friends? I got a little shy about that throughout. So, but I'm confident in my skill and I'm proud of what I've done here. This is the second time I'm recording this video because I started to talk about the shawl and found out that I'd already made one. I'll get to that in a minute. But the first thing you notice is that there is a big space on my pegboard, and we just talked about how great it looked that I just finished redoing it. But I've used a couple of the yarns that are up there. Well, I used one of them. The other one was over here. And I've decided to take the other one down. Okay, I'll just go for it. So this is, I'm talking about now Wool of the Andes that I bought from Knit Picks as a bare naked yarn. It's a Peruvian Highland wool, and it's a sport weight too. It's 100 grams, which is 274 yards. Now, we've talked with Jude about how toothy, I think that's a great word to describe Peruvian wool, Highland wool. It's very rugged. It's not as rugged as like wool, but you do definitely notice the difference. It was the first time I had used this yarn, that I'd ever touched this yarn or felt this yarn when I ordered it online, and I dyed 2 hanks, and I was going to try to do like an ombre or like a pairing, and it kind of worked and it kind of didn't work. So the first one is this blues and greens here, and you can kind of tell a little bit right here the blue gets a little bit darker, and then maybe like here the blue is a little bit lighter. So I was trying to do some ombreing that didn't really work. I dyed this with drink mix. Did I already say that? See, I feel like I'm repeating since this is my second recording. Okay, so that was the first one, and I like what I made, but I don't want to use this yarn again, I don't believe. So I'm going to put this up. Part of this explanation is that I have visited eBay and made a purchase of yarn. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and destash myself a little bit, and I'll put some of these up for sale and see what happens. But this is the other one that went with it, or sort of. So it's the same greens, but with orange instead of with the blue. So, you know, it's everything about this is a learning experience, and I don't regret anything that I'm doing, you know, because it just teaches you something. If it doesn't turn out to be something that you enjoy as a fabulous end result, then at least, you know, hopefully maybe you learn something from it. So what I made, and gosh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to include the name of the, I don't think I wrote it down. Oh, it's right here. It's called the Flutter-by scarf. And I made mine into a cowl because it wasn't long enough, but this is a Ravelry design by a Margot stock. And I found out that unfortunately she passed away back in 2023, June of 2023. So R.I.P. And so maybe go check out the scarf because it's a really, really pretty. I'll put in here the pictures that made me want to do this pattern. And so she says to use fingering weight, but this is sport weight. And she gives different counts to begin, how depending on how wide or narrow you want the scarf to be. And so I did go down some since I was using a bigger weight yarn, but it still didn't end up long enough to be a scarf. So I did join it as a cowl. And this is what I ended up with. Now I also changed in here, this chain is very long. I think she's got it to be 11. Okay, so yeah, there's a chain in here that's 11, and I took it down to 7 because, I'll insert this picture here, I did not like how bunchy that was, and I don't know if that's a result of changing from the fingering weight yarn to the sport weight yarn, but I did not like how bunchy that was. So I frogged that thing out, and I went again, and I made the one where it says 11 chains, I made it 7 chains, And then where it says chain 5, I only chained 3. And although I like the way that the chains fit in here better, I don't necessarily like that it's a big old gaping hole. Like, I didn't maybe take the time to design an extra row of something in there to, you know, sort of bridge that gap a little bit. But I like it very much. You go on the side here, the difference, the alternating pattern is that you've got, see, I'm always upside down, is that you've got, but with a cowl, I didn't think it would matter. But anyway, so you've got 3 double crochets here on the edge before you start your pattern. And then you go through some solid rows, and then you go through, that's where I joined it. And then here you've got 7 double crochets before you start your pattern. So that allows the pattern to alternate. Here, let me go. See, it doesn't work very well on the cowl here. So that's your alternating, where there's 3 double crochets on the side and then 7 double crochets along the side. And then at the end of the repeat, you've got a row of double crochets, and then you're supposed to do 5 rows of double crochets and then start the repeat again. Well, I was running out of yarn. I only had this much left, and so I didn't want to end up with a wonky amount, although I did, because I just stopped where the pattern ended, and that was only 3 double crochet rows. So the join that I did is, I think, a little bit more incognito than a regular whip stitch. So instead of, let me grab my needle, hold on. So this is how I sewed together the cowl instead of a standard whip stitch. Pretend I'm tied on here. Your standard whip stitch, you come across the work and you're crossing back over like this, going in the same direction for each of those stitches. And then you have this extra yarn here, and I just decided that for some of my work I would rather do the following. So again, pretend that we're tied on, and so you would go into your stitches just the same way that you would with a whip stitch, just like so. But then instead of crossing back over your work like this, you're going to stay on the same side. So here's the stitch where the blue comes out of. We're just going to go right on over to the next stitch and come towards you now. And then stay on the same side here and go back the other direction. So it's kind of a zigzaggy, and I don't get real tight with it, so that when it lays flat, there's less going on up on top, but you have still secured your stitches and your squares together. So I think that really gives you a much smaller ridge to sort of hide that a lot better. Like, I had to kind of search for it. And then that's on the inside, so you don't even see it. So here's what it looks like on. And I really like it. And if I had gone with the that row of five rows of double crochets, you know, maybe it would be a little bit longer like this. So I don't mind it to be as short as this. And there is some stretch to it, as you just saw. You know, I didn't block it. I don't know if you're supposed to, so you could. And then it would look a lot different, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, so there's where the pattern repeat goes. I think it would look great in a scarf. Again, I just ran out of yarn. I didn't have that much to go with. Or, you know, it doesn't really matter where you wrap it. And of course, it's one of those that's good to wrap around your head as well if you need to cover up, and then, you know, you've got like a little hoodie. Yay. Okay. So, yeah, just the feel of the material, the feel of the fiber, and the colors that I dyed it. It's kind of weird. Oh, I like the pooling a little bit though. And if I have a picture, my granddaughter was helping me wind the hanks up. And so if I have a picture of this yarn as I'm showing it, I'll put that in. And yes, I did chop off my hair. And yes, I did get my new glasses, so I'm feeling all full of myself right now. So the yarn that I used was my Unique fingering weight yarn, this guy here. And this colorway was 3025. So you also saw a previous scarf done in a different colorway, and that was this one. And so you'll see in a minute here how much more size. See how the stitches are so many double crochets and then just the 2 little window rows every so often. So this is one where there's more window rows than full rows, so you get quite a bigger garment. Check this guy out. Whoop, whoop. He's got all the little picot rows along the bottom to really point that out. It blocked so nicely. I didn't wash it, I just pinned it and then sprayed it and then put the fan on it overnight, you know. So I really like the way the colors go from one to the other like that. And it's just a row of double crochets, and then you do your chain 2, skip 2, 2 double crochets, etc. And then on the end, here's your little picot. I thought those were so cute, and I love the way, so you finish up at the top here, and then you tie on back down at the base to do your picot row. And I just love the way that the color was different to the row from the picot. It was just awesome. So this turned out beautifully, and I wanted to show you up against its sister yarn, kind of the same pattern. I'm kind of doing that asymmetrical thing here, but look at how much more, just adding a couple of rows of windows, you can really extend your garment. So this is the same amount of yarn, and look how much more you get if you just throw in a couple of rows of windows. I'm done right here with that one and here. So these were a couple of really, really great colorways from Anique that I got on a clearance sale for, I think I spent $13 a skein. And so I'm kind of sad that they're both used up now because they're expensive. They're in the 20s, maybe almost $30 a skein for these guys. But so I had my notes, and this is why I'm recording the video for the second time, because I had in my notes, and so I used a 4mm hook on this. I said in my notes that this was a new pattern to me, but the whole time I was looking at it, I thought it felt very familiar. This is called, well, this is called the Flora Shawl, and this is the one that my husband kind of pointed out would be a really pretty one to do, and I agree with him. But what had happened was I had my notes wrong, and so I have already done this shawl holding 2 strands of the fingering weight together, and I didn't border it, so I didn't do the picots, and I never blocked this one because I don't believe I did anyway. But it's because it's kind of curly Q on the end like that. I think that's what tells me I didn't block it. I don't know, maybe I did, but it's the same pattern. And I thought, I remember doing the step-ups, I remember talking about the step-ups, but I thought the rows were filled in more because I was getting confused with this one that I did in the purples that mimicked the Pixie Shawl, the Shawlette, you know. So here again, I'll do a comparison. This is the same pattern as this. This is holding 1 strand, where am I, versus holding 2 strands. Oh, I don't have that right. But anyway, you can understand what I'm trying to say. Look at the difference in size. So if you want, so, you know, when you hold 2 strands of fingering weight together, it is more like a DK weight. And so you get quite a bit more material when you hold 2 together. So these are all great patterns. This one is the Pixie Shawlette by Moogly. There's no border other than like a single crochet. I don't know if I did that on my own or not. I made these a little while ago. And so, yeah, I was really happy to get through this shawl that I did. Again, it's called the Flora. I don't know what the tendril is. I wrote this down as called the tendril. I'm going to have to do some homework to straighten out my notes, but Annie Design Crochet has got a lot of great ones out there, and so I thought maybe I was just doing another, like this is her thing, and maybe that's why I was familiar to that step-up process where you leave 4 unworked so that all the way along it has that step. All right, guys, wrap this around. If you have not tried Annie Design Crochet, before, please go check that out, because there are a lot of free crochet shawl patterns that she's got out there, and they're really easy to follow, really easy to read, and I just love the colorway on this one. I was looking at other unique yarns. Okay, so my eBay thing. So when I get, you know, some people like to just online shop no matter what it is, and I'm kind of one of those, maybe, whatever. But in addition to that, the auction aspect of eBay, where you can jump in right at the nick of time, is like, there's a bit of adrenaline rush in that too. So I didn't buy anything from an auction. I felt very good about that. There was a lot of uniques, which is what I was talking about this for. But instead I did buy something else, and they're expected today, so those will have to go into a different video. But I couldn't help myself. And it's gorgeous yarn I've never used before. It was on a crazy blowout sale. Not blowout sale. They were $30 a hank, labeled, and she had them reduced to $50 for 3 of these hanks, plus some shipping. And it was, you know, bidding or make an offer. And so I made her an offer that was $50 combined, you know, with the shipping. And so I got 3 hanks of gorgeous yarn for $50. And so that's coming in the mail today. And then I got another 2. One of them I think was either a sport or a DK, I can't remember. And the other one was just a gorgeous solid color, which I know I can incorporate into the mini usage maybe. Like I talked about needing a specific kind of solid to go with some other things. So everything that I'm buying has a specific purpose to use other yarn in my stash. It's not like a whole new project, except maybe those 3, that pack of 3 that I got, because they're gorgeous together. So it's not creating a partial product. You know, I'll have enough right there to make something really nice together. So, all right, guys, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed your time with me. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and please do come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye. The pattern says to continue for 154 rows, and I only got to 96. So I don't know how my tension would be that far off. So I don't know if that's a typo or if she means to do more than 1 skein of yarn, because it doesn't say that. It just makes me think that she's using a single skein. So anyway, but I do love her pattern, but it's just gorgeous. It's just beyond gorgeous. I thought when I had this one and another one. Ooh, pause.